Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're cranking the volume and exploring the next big thing in sound, Dolby Atmos in spatial audio.
Yeah, this tech is really changing the game for movies, for music too. It pulls you out of that flat stereo world and puts you right inside a 3D soundscape.
Absolutely.
Right.
And our goal here is to basically cut through the noise, find the best of the best for you.
Right. We've dug through forums like AVS Forum, Reddit, looked at what pros are saying, expert lists.
All to find those movies and albums that, really show what this immersive audio can do.
So before we dive into specific titles, maybe we should quickly touch on why it's such a big deal. It's more than just sticking speakers on the ceiling.
Good point. What's the core idea? Why is it revolutionary?
Well, the big shift is moving from channel-based sound, 5.1, 7.1, where the mixer assigns sounds to specific speakers, to object-based audio. Atmos treats sounds like a helicopter flying over or rain falling as individual objects.
Objects with metadata.
Exactly. Metadata that tells your system where that sound should be in 3D space. Your receiver, or even your headphones, then renders that sound object based on your specific setup.
So it adapts.
Yeah.
And uses those height channels to place sounds above you.
Precisely. That's how you get that feeling of being truly enveloped inside the sound. That's the envelope test the community talks about.
Okay, got it. The envelope test. Let's unpack that with films then. We found some must-watch titles popping up again and again in home theater circles.
Yeah, enthusiasts definitely have their favorites for showing off those height channels.
So what are the core ones? The ones that really nail that envelope feeling?
We saw 4 main ones consistently mentioned. Alita, Battle Angel, that's the 2019 one.
Right.
The Matrix, but the 1999 remaster specifically.
Okay.
Godzilla, King of the Monsters, also 2019. And Christopher Nolan's Tenet from 2020.
Tenet keeps coming up. Now, it's not just because these are loud blockbusters, is it? There's something more technical.
Well, yeah, Tenet is interesting. It's kind of a benchmark for system capability, not just immersion.
How so? Because of Nolan's mix.
Exactly. His mixes often have extreme dynamic range. Huge differences between the quietest whispers and the loudest explosions or score moments.
Right, you need a system that can handle that swing.
Precisely. A good Atmos setup playing Tenet proves it can handle those really complex, demanding shifts without, losing dialogue or making the explosions sound distorted. They're test tracks, really.
So these aren't just movies, they're benchmarks. Tools for testing gear.
Absolutely. And the community has this definitive list for testing both Atmos and high-end video like Dolby Vision. It's pretty extensive.
What else is on that bigger list?
Ooh, lots of action epics. Things like Furiosa, Mad Max, Fury Road, both Dune movies.
Dune makes sense.
Yeah, Blade Runner 2049 is huge on these lists too. Challenger, Civil War, Godzilla -1, Avatar 2, you get the idea. Big spectacle film.
That's a heavy-hitting list for sure, pure spectacle. But what about films people pick for, like precision or specific effects, not just overall loudness?
That's where it gets interesting. People dig deeper than just the main test list. For really intensive effects, especially overhead stuff, the UHD discs of Sicario come up a lot.
Sicario, why that one?
It's about the intensity and placement of things like bullets whizzing past, that feeling of being right in the middle of the firefight with sound coming from all directions, including above.
Okay.
The John Wick movies too, especially number 3. And gravity.
Gravity seems like a natural fit for Atmos. All that space.
Exactly. The way Atmos handles the sound objects in gravity, like floating debris or voices coming from specific points in space, it decouples them from the main speakers. They track precisely overhead or around you. It creates this amazing sense of disorientation and vastness that, honestly, traditional surround just can't replicate.
That leads perfectly into something else we found, moving beyond just effects, into the whole sound design. There was this whole thread basically crowning Blade Runner 2049 as maybe the best overall audio mix, period.
Ah, yes, I saw that.
And they weren't just talking about the action scenes, they mentioned the atmosphere. That neon-soaked, rain-drenched soundscape.
That's such a key point. It shows Atmos isn't just for explosions and helicopters, It excels at subtle world building.
The rain.
Exactly, that constant rain in Blade Runner 2049.
Yep.
It's not just background noise. With Atmos, it's placed precisely across all the channels, including the ceiling speakers. You actually feel like you're standing in that persistent drizzle. It's incredibly immersive.
And the professionals seem to agree.
They do. Pros often point to Dune for its sheer bass impact, the LFE channel. The Matrix gunfight scene gets mentioned for how fast sounds pan across the room.
Right.
And even things like the documentary series F1, Drive to Survive. They use that for testing really precise, fast-moving aerial effects and those quick dynamic shifts in sound.
Okay, so cinema uses it to build these incredibly detailed, immersive realities. What happens when we shift to music? Spatial audio seems to be like completely rewriting the rule book for albums we thought we knew.
It really is revitalizing music, taking classic stereo mixes and giving them this whole new dimension.
So what are the audio files pointing to? What classics are getting the biggest buzz in this spatial audio transition?
Well, a great starting point mentioned by quite a few classic rock fans is the Beatles. Specifically, the track The End from Abbey Road.
Oh, interesting. Why that track?
That famous back-and-forth guitar solo sequence. In the Atmos mix, the instrumentation apparently swirls around you, even overhead. It really opens up the recording.
Okay, that makes sense. But there's one album that just seemed to dominate every conversation, from forums to pro mixers.
Has to be Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the Moon.
Yep, the 50th anniversary remastered mix.
Absolutely. People just rave about it. The consensus is that those psychedelic layers just come alive in a way stereo couldn't touch.
How so? What specifically?
Well, think about the original. It was brilliant for headphones, panning sounds left and right. But with Atmos, those effects can be placed anywhere in that 3D sphere.
Like the clocks in time.
Exactly. People say the clocks feel like they're ticking right above you, or the voices in Speak to Me seem to float in from behind you. It's consistently called out as, like, the demo piece for musical Atmos.
So, classic rock's like a major focus for these remixes. But is there something that works as just a general Atmos music demo? Maybe something less iconic, but technically impressive. A sort of sleeper hit.
Funny you ask. There was this one user, quite adamant actually, who insisted the best Atmos music album they'd heard, and maybe the best overall Atmos demo, was Point by the Swiss electronic duo Yellow.
Yellow. Okay, that's not what I expected. Why them?
It makes sense when you think about it. Electronic music often uses synthesized sounds, right? These sound objects can be placed with incredible precision in 3D space, maybe even more easily than, say, a real acoustic guitar.
Okay. Less bleed, more control for the mix engineer.
Precisely. And Point is apparently full of these colorful, playful textures with sounds intentionally moving, hopping, spinning all around the listener. It really shows off what an engineer can do with the format when they're not just remixing an existing work.
Turns your room into an audio playground, basically.
That's a good way to put it.
And it shows the tech works across genres. We also saw lists from music producers, people really deep in mixing. What were they highlighting? Stuff where the remix genuinely elevated the original.
Yeah, that producer list was great. Focused on rock classics where the spatial mix really let the instruments breathe, things like Pearl Jam's 10.
Makes sense, that album is dense.
Right.
Yeah.
Also, Tears for Fears the Hurting, Rush's Signals, Lynyrd Skynyrd's pronounced Lee Nerd Skin Nerd,
Wow, okay.
and Billy Idol's Rebel Yell. The idea is that these complex stereo mixes, when opened up into Atmos, allow you to hear the individual guitar layers, the drum details, much more clearly. They aren't all fighting for space in the center anymore.
And it's not just older stuff getting the treatment. We saw modern artists too, right?
Definitely. Professional lists and enthusiast picks included people like Bjork. Her album Fissora was mentioned by someone using it to Atmos to the max.
Okay.
Lana Del Rey's newer albums, Taylor Swift. It's clear this isn't just a classic rock thing, it's across the board.
So we've got these amazing film and music recommendations, fantastic content. But what does it mean for, the average listener? How do you actually start experiencing this without building a dedicated home cinema?
Right, the practical side. Well, the sources offer tips for both ends of the spectrum.
Okay, let's start with the home theater setup for those going all in.
If you are building out a room, the consistent advice seems to be starting with at least a 5.1.4 system. That's your standard 5 surrounds and subwoofer, plus 4 height channels.
Or overhead, got it. And what content do they use to test those setups?
Those initial test discs often include Top Gun, Maverick, Dune 2 again, and even the original Top Gun. Lots of talk about jet flyovers, wind effects moving vertically.
Stuff that really uses those height channels.
Exactly, and a key point many users emphasize is getting the physical UHD Blu-ray disc if you can.
For the better bitrate, less compression.
Yeah, for the absolute best uncompressed audio quality compared to streaming.
Okay, that's the gold standard, the big home theater.
Yeah.
But you mentioned the other end of the spectrum. What about accessibility? Not everyone has space or budget for that.
And that's crucial. Spatial audio isn't locked away in dedicated theaters. Mobile integration is huge here.
How effective is it really?
Well, we saw one user comment they were extraordinarily stoked by listening to Atmos tracks on a pair of AirPods Pro 2s.
Okay, hold on. AirPods Pro. Are we seriously saying that listening to, say, that Dark Side of the Moon remix on earbuds can compare to a full 5.1.4 speaker system? Is that hype, or is the experience genuinely good?
That's a fair question, let's be clear. It's not comparable in terms of raw power, detail, or that physical feeling of bass.
Right.
But is it transformative compared to standard stereo on headphones? The consensus seems to be yes.
How does it even work?
On mobile, especially with head tracking like the AirPods have, the tech uses really clever binaural rendering. It creates the illusion of 3D sound objects moving around your head.
So you still get the spatial idea.
Exactly. You get that immersive effect, that sense of space and directionality, the spatial dimension way beyond what normal stereo can do. It just lacks the physical impact, the chest thump of a big system with a subwoofer.
Okay, that makes sense. It's like seeing a 3D map versus feeling the earthquake.
Good analogy. It democratizes the spatial experience, even if not the full power.
And people are finding great stuff on streaming services, too.
Oh, yeah. There was a thread specifically asking for links to the best streamed Atmos titles on platforms like Tidal and Apple Music. People are sharing tracks that really showcase the cinematic heights you can get, even streamed.
Any specific streaming recommendations mentioned?
For a family-friendly option that's easily accessible, Disney Plus apparently has a strong Atmos mix for the movie Onward. It blends the 4K HDR visuals with quite nuanced Atmos sound design.
So reference quality stuff is pretty much everywhere now. From $20,000 setups down to, what, $250 earbuds?
Pretty much. It really comes down to the quality of the mix, that object placement, the metadata. The technology is enabling it across the board.
Wow. Okay, so we've gone from the intense audio workouts of Tenet to the atmospheric rain of Blade Runner 2049. We've found benchmarks in Pink Floyd, but also, surprisingly, yellow.
Yeah, this deep dive really maps out where the experts and the really dedicated fans are setting the audio bar right now.
Dolby Atmos is clearly pushing boundaries in how we tell stories with sound.
Absolutely. Adding that third dimension, the height, it just wraps you in the story or the music in a way that feels almost tangible, whether it's space debris clattering overhead or just hearing the separation in a dense rock mix.
It really makes you appreciate the artistry involved, doesn't it? The mixing engineer deciding exactly where to place each sound object above you, behind you, moving past you. This whole exploration really highlights how technology can amplify art. It forces you to engage more deeply, maybe even more physically.
It's a different level of connection.
So, a final thought for you listening. Think about that intentionality, that craft. When was the last time a sound, just by itself, truly transported you somewhere else? Well, now you have a much better map to find that experience again.